It says, which of the following must be true to minimize the total cost of producing a given level of output when a firm has two plants? So first I want to talk about how I would solve this kind of problem given these different statements. Statement 1 says, if fixed costs are not sunk, production should occur in the plant with the lowest marginal cost. Well, to help me answer this, I always like to just make up an example real fast. So imagine two plants, plant 1 and plant 2. Plant 1 has a $0 fixed cost and the marginal cost is 4Q. Plant 2 has a $10,000 fixed cost and the marginal cost is just Q. So plant 2 has the lower marginal cost. But since fixed costs aren't sunk, if we're only producing, let's say 5 units, it would be much more worth it to produce in plant 1 because we don't have that huge fixed cost. So we can see that option 1 is wrong because we can imagine a scenario where we want to avoid that huge fixed cost because it says they're not sunk. So if we don't produce any in plant 2, we don't pay that huge $10,000 fixed cost. And that's what you want to do. You want to make up these little examples to see if you can prove the statements. So 1 we know is false. 2 says if fixed costs are sunk, output should be allocated across plants to equalize marginal costs between plants. This is a textbook correct answer. This is exactly how you want to remember the terminology here. The wording is exactly how you'll see it on a test. It says if fixed costs are sunk, so fixed costs aren't playing into our decision at all, they're in the past, they're sunk, the only decision we should make is we should equalize the marginal cost between plants and produce that way. Number 3 says, for sufficiently low outputs, if fixed costs are large, are not sunk, and differ dramatically, production should occur in the plant with the lowest fixed cost, even if it has a higher marginal cost. So this is true, and let's see why. This is actually the same reasoning. This is a situation that I use to describe why option 1 was false. So imagine that plant 1 and plant 2 again. Plant 1 had $0 fixed cost, plant 2 had $10,000 fixed cost. Even though plant 1 has a higher marginal cost, if we're producing sufficiently low outputs, so all the words matter here a lot. Sufficiently low, if fixed costs are large and differ dramatically, so that means plant 2's fixed costs are much larger relative to plant 1's fixed cost, well, all the production should occur in the plant that has the lower fixed cost, even if the marginal cost is higher. So again, all those words are important. Sufficiently low, fixed costs differ dramatically and are extremely large. All those things matter. So you want to understand there's differences. If it said for sufficiently high outputs, it wouldn't be true. Because then, for sufficiently high outputs, we can imagine scenarios where we'd want to equalize the marginal costs among plants. Well, let's look at option 4. It says for very high outputs, if fixed costs are small, are sunk, and are similar, all production should occur in the plant with the lowest marginal cost for any given output, for any given total output. Well, the part that says if fixed costs are small, are sunk, and are similar, that basically means that fixed costs aren't going to affect our decision at all. So we can just say plant 1 and plant 2 both have $0 fixed costs just to make our life easier. Now let's imagine plant 1 has a marginal cost equal to Q squared. And let's imagine that plant 2 has a marginal cost equal to 2Q squared. So plant 2 has a higher marginal cost. But if we were to produce, and it says for a very high output, so if we were to produce 10,000 units, would it be more worth it to produce all 10,000 in plant 1 or to allocate them across the plants? Well, we find that if we produce all of them in 10,000 units in plant 1, that would be 10,000 squared. It gives us a huge number. And if we were to allocate among the plants, what we would do is we'd equalize the marginal cost between the plants, and we'd solve and find some distribution, and we'd put some units in plant 1 and some units in plant 2. But the point is, the cost would be lower to distribute that output among the plants instead of just producing all of them in plant 1. So again, you just want to make up little examples to help you organize your thoughts here. So we know that number 4 is also false because we can imagine a scenario that we wouldn't want to produce all of the output just in the plant that has lower marginal cost. Instead, the right terminology is we'd want to equalize the marginal cost between plants. So try to remember that and try using that strategy when you see a question like this.